Hello gaming tinkers, we're back and this video is featuring the T-34 Calliope, and for those of you who struggle to say that, we'll just call it the Cali for short. This is the reward for the Resolution's year-long little experiment that happened in 2023, and I am absolutely excited that Wargaming Console Division did that. It was really nice to have kind of like a big year-long endeavor that didn't necessarily require a huge ton of XP. It was just complete the season. And if you play a couple hours a week, you should do that. And that was it. And I think this was a brilliant idea. I'm hoping that Wargaming here on the console division will do something like this again, but for now, nothing there. So, the T-34 Cali. Well, it's based on a Sherman, or as I like to say, oh shit, it's a Sherman. It's based on a real tank that actually saw duty in World War II, so I don't understand why some people were upset by this because of rockets, which some of our experience with Cold War mode has skewed some people's vision of what rockets do. And understandable fear, but here we are now. We have a Sherman that has the standard 75mm boom snout, which barely penetrates anything. And when it does, it barely damages anything. And they gave it rockets that are glorified HE, similar pen, similar damage, but just no continuous damage. I will say this though. This camo, the purple, yay, and the gray-green camo, I really love and enjoy. Glad it's here. Hopefully it stays, and more is to come. But we're starting to segue into the... this is just... everyone was scared that the multi-weapon system featuring the rockets would make this an OP tank. And then it was tier 6. And that worried a lot of us, myself included. Was this another seal clubbering tank like the Panzer V-4? Or was it not? Well, the truth be told, it's a Sherman. It suffers all the weaknesses of a tier 6 medium, and it just is not the feared tank that a lot of us thought it would be. Now, okay, in great numbers, yeah, it can be annoying. If you're a tier 6 tank, it catches you off the side. Yeah, it does have like what some people have noticed about being the Wolverine. I understand that. Here I am now setting my tank up to cost me silver. Because at 22% silver rate, earn rate, yeah, this tank, you'd have to set it up with standard consumables. Don't use premium, but you need premium to do damage, and damage is how you get XP, and the more XP you get, the higher you silver earn is. Yeah, it's one of those things of you will not make silver in this tank. That's kind of my opinion, that's kind of like the ugly side of this tank, because if you miss shots, you lose silver. If you don't penetrate shots, you lose silver. So now you have a tank that has the ability to, in say 3 seconds, fire, including the standard round and the rockets, 7 rounds that do nothing. Yay, they're cheap, but if you're running 30,000 silver of consumables, premiums, your tank is destroyed, you barely do a couple hundred damage, you lose silver. Okay? And just to point out, oh no, rockets with barely 254 millimeters per second of travel. Again, like the missiles in Cold War, the rockets will reach their max speed shortly after they have exited the tube. So they have to travel a bit before they reach full speed. So they're slow. Yeah, you can see them coming. For the interest of time, we're going to only feature the first and actual second match. Tomorrow I will put out the better matches I had out of these 10. One thing I will say about the Cali is it has good mobility. I have no equipment right now running on this thing because I want to get a feel for it and see what it lacks and where I want to go with it. And mobility, this is the problem in World War II with tanks with mobility, is they are mixed with tanks that are slow. So if you have a tank that can do with relative ease 40 kilometers per hour, which, yeah, this tank can do, mixed with tanks that can barely get to 30 kilometers per hour, and a couple tanks that maybe do 50, like the light tanks, you have your battle train, your battle line can get stretched out and become filled with gaps. You're leaving the big guns behind. They can't cover you. And the tanks that you're supposed to be spotting, they're too far ahead of you or too far away from you now to where they can't assist you. You can sort of see what they have, but with the lack of penetration on the rounds, both rockets and rounds, yes, the sufferings of World War II. Yes, and it's the superior mode. Yeah, now that I've played this tank 10 times in a row in World War II, it's all the suffering of World War II has come back to me. And that will rear its head here. Now, not much. The weaknesses of this tank really are apparent here, but it's still, I can't complain about that so much because it is free. Like I said, just complete the seasons and you have this tank that did serve in World War II. Is interesting to have, that actually has a feature that works. Now, does this open up the gate? Because I do believe the T-29 heavy tank, the American heavy, does have a skin. The very bombastic and truly patriotic American July 4th skin. I don't know what you want to say. That kind of has a Calliope on it, sort of on the rear. I think we were all, someone, I know I did, was like, is that going to be like another premium tank? Are they going to do that? Just reskin it? But hey, but it's locked. To keep it from being, it's locked unless you have to move the tank like you do have to with the Wolverine. So yeah, that'd be crazy. Oh, and they have to shoot over the, so it arches, which actually might be better at distance, means the rocks will drop down on the top of the tanks where there's less armor. I don't know. We're just here right now with this interesting Sherman. As a collecting piece, sure, yeah, it's interesting. It is. If you hate this tank, comment below why, besides the obvious. I mean, for all of its shortcomings. I mean, it's a Sherman. I can, within like just minutes, I was like, oh my god, this is a Sherman. Looking at the stats, it's a Sherman. You can't. It was, you know, like the Hellcat and the Jumbo and the Super Shermans and the Fury. Like, all right, once they started playing around with, you know, 90 mil boom snouts and adding more frontal armor but making it so, it's like, all right, it sort of kind of works, but it's, for me, this could be a good support tank. In a platoon where you have heavies or maybe weakly armored TDs, if you can, because it's a tier 6, so that also holds it back. But because, oh man, like the 170, what is it, 175, the standard boom stock I came up against a tier 6 Italian medium. I was bouncing off it, and it was barely 5 meters away. That was not fun. That was perplexing, but all right. And then Artie made sure I regretted wasting my time trying to take out that medium. But here we are, the beginning of losing silver. Yay. I didn't get much done. My team was the superior team in all regards, so that's how it was. Kind of a bit crushing. So I didn't get much done because the enemy team didn't do much to slow us down and try to stop us. Either way, it was the first match. I got a feel for the tank and kind of decided to equip it leaning into the mobility a bit. But again, I always worry about that in this mode. Bye-bye silver. Thank God I saved up. This part, yeah, the armor. That might get switched out later on because adding slightly more armor to what is already a little bit of armor doesn't really help. I know, angle, but it's hard to angle a lot of flat, damn near flat surfaces. So here we are in Berlin, and we're at a tier 8 match. Now, I decide not to go to the outside, more to the field that later. This doesn't work in my favor, but I decide to go to the streets and try to use the buildings for cover. No artillery, yay. So that means I can move hopefully freely. But this is one of those things where like I need someone to find the enemy for me so I know where to move around and take them out from the side. Hey, look, there's one of me. Yep, that's gonna be the thing. Lightly armored tanks will definitely feel the whole barrage, main boom snout barrage. But the thing is, this is a Sherman, and trading, for coming up against a lot of tanks and trading, if you can trade, you don't do a lot of damage. And damn, there are tier 7s and definitely tier 8s when you've got 90 millimeter boom cells, 100 millimeter boom cells, and 88s, and just with alphas in the 300s or 400, if they high roll, half your health is gone. Oh, this is fun. Here I am. It's a KV3. I'm just trying to track. Can I get a line on the tracks? Oh, yeah, I'm watching rounds and rockets bounce. It doesn't help either, because suddenly more armor will appear here. Oh, look, I get a lucky shot into a Sturm Tiger. Thanks for moving across the path. But yeah, there's a KV4. Nope. I realize I'm just looking at a wall of armor, so I decide to back off. and try to move around and flank. Because I see this is kind of like heavy alley around. This is where, like I said, I took this route and I know the mobility will get me to where I need to be as long as I don't suddenly find any more of the enemy team. That's my biggest concern, is like coming around that corner. Sturm Tiger, discovered them, and they fired. I feel somewhat safe, but here, RNG has decided that I low roll. In fact, every one of my shots will low roll. I don't know why RNG couldn't cut me some slack here, but apparently my whole team just couldn't get any slack here. 50s, barely making this every shot. There's a kill shot, 56. The problem is, because it took so long to eliminate that Sturm Tiger, I became a target. And that's the frustration of this low penetration, low damage. Everything about this tank is, you really gotta be taking on tier 6s and maybe tier 5s. If this had preferential matchmaking, it'd be better, but it could be considered a touch OP, but it doesn't, so you do have to take on tier 6s, although I don't think we see tier 5s. But either way, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing tier 5, but yeah. Another Calliope. Just gone. Yeah. I'm okay with having this tank. It is interesting. It is historically accurate for what World of Tanks considers accurate. I wish that perhaps the rockets had more penetration. Their damage is fine for this tier. It might be fun in platoons or when you can work with your team, but it doesn't impress me much. Comment below. Bye silver. And hope you keep your trucks on the ground. The RNG is in your favor. Sure wasn't for me. Bye.